Hello everybody, welcome back to American Textbook Reading. My name is Brian Stuart. Hey, in this lesson, we've got a little bit of a complicated lesson, but we're going over the idea of motion. This is lesson 14, and we're talking about motion. It's a little complicated because we're going to talk about three important ideas. In this unit, you will discover force, motion, and gravity. So we're going to be talking about force, motion, that's our unit title, and of course gravity. All of these things have to do with the way that things move. Things move from one place to another. How do they move? We'll talk about the forces, we'll talk about the motion, the type of movement, and we'll also talk about gravity, which is a very important force in making things move. Let's take a look. First, we're going to talk about motion, because that is our unit title, motion. What exactly is motion, right? Motion is the act, the action, the physical thing that you're doing, the act of moving. So you move from one place to another place. The act of moving, that is motion, okay? Speed. Now, when we talk about motion, we can talk about different ways to move, right? Movement can be fast, it can be slow, okay? It can have lots of different directions, right? There can be different reasons for motion, but right now we're talking about speed. Speed is how fast something moves. So like I said, something can move fast or it can move slow, right? Speed, when we talk about fast or slow, we're talking about what is the speed of the object, whatever is moving. Something is moving, what is the speed of that object? How fast is it moving? If we see a car, wow, that looks like it's moving very fast, right? It's moving very fast. It's hard to see it, right? Because it's moving so quickly. It has a lot of speed. It has a lot of speed. Now, when we talk about motion, if an object, if one thing is going to move from here, it's going to move there, there has to be some force pushing it. Force is power, right? Power. I'm using my power of my arm to move this from here to there. I'm using force. I don't have to use a lot of force. It's a very light pen. But if you want to move heavy objects, you need a lot of force. You need a lot of power. Power that produces a change in a movement. And it's interesting to notice that. A change in a movement. So remember, movement isn't just stop, move, stop. Movement can also be in one direction. And if something is already moving, and a power of force changes that motion, changes the direction, that is also a power or force that makes something change direction. A push or a pull is a force. So we have a push or a pull. Two types of forces. A push, we'll talk about these of course later, but a push or a pull are the two types of forces that act upon objects. It makes those objects move. We are either pushing them or we're pulling them. We'll talk about these words later. Let's take a look at the video though. We're taking a look at a crane. This is a crane, and you can see at the top of the crane up here, you see this part is moving, and that's the part that holds the steel beam. They're building a building here, and this part, they need that part in a certain place on the building, so the crane will move it this way, right? It'll pull it towards the crane. It will push it out away from the crane. But you know what? This can also pull up and down. So they can make these cables, they can pull the object up or they can let it go down and they can move it up and down. So a crane, of course, they can move things away, they can pull things close, but they can also lift things and drop things. So they can move objects around where they need it on this building. So that's a good example of the forces that you use to make something move, to put something into motion. Now, a very important force, gravity, is a force, right? Gravity is a force. That's what it says right here. It's a type of force. A type of force. So we talked about forces, right? Force is the power to move something. Gravity is a very important force that pulls things to the ground, right? You see this boy, wow, he's very interesting. He's diving into the water. Hopefully there's water down here. But he's going down, right? This arrow is pointing down because gravity pulls things to the ground. Let's take a look at that. Now all these kids here are lined up. They're all lined up on the edge of the pool. They are going to jump into the pool. Gravity is the force that pulls them down. There they go. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're all going in a line. Okay? They're having fun. But basically, gravity is the force that pulls people. Oh, he missed out. He's like, whoa, what happened? Okay, jump in. Okay, so he jumps in the air. Gravity pulls him down. Gravity is very important. Obviously, gravity is the force that's keeping us all on the ground. If we didn't have gravity, we would all float up into the air, right? So gravity is a force or a power that is always there. It's always pulling us to the earth and it's keeping us on the ground. Without gravity, we would just float off, right? That would be very, very dangerous and very strange. So we need gravity. Gravity is something that's very important, obviously, in our lives. Now, we've talked about pull a little bit, right? I said gravity pulls us to the ground. We also talked about pull and push are the two major forces. Here we have pull. Pull is a force that moves things closer to you. Close, nearby. Yappe, right? Closer to you. So if I take this pen and I pull it to me, I'm bringing the pen closer to me. Now, it's interesting, when we pull something with us, right, we can pull it close to us and it stops. But if we keep moving, right, and we keep pulling, that's the way that we can bring something from here to over there. We pull it along with us. Let's take a look at a video of that. See, this man, he's got his 2 children here, and he's pulling them in the snow. Looks like fun, right? So basically, he's pulling them, but he keeps walking, right? So although he keeps pulling them closer, he keeps moving away, so it's a constant action. And he's pulling these kids across the snow. So pulling something across the snow, he's pulling them towards him, but he doesn't pull and stop, he keeps moving. So he's pulling them from one place to another. And of course, you could also say, you know, pull, stop, that's okay too. But if you want to move something from one place to a faraway place, well, sure, you can pull it along with you. Pull it along behind you. Okay, now, pull is one of the forces that's bringing something closer to you. The opposite, pandero, the opposite force of pull is push. Push is a force that moves things away from you. So before we saw pull, closer to you, push is away from you. You're pushing something away. So it's another force that you use to push away from you. This girl is helping these 2 boys on their skateboard, right? They're on a skateboard here. A skateboard. And the girl is pushing them away from her. Let's take a look at a video of this. Now, this is a very common scene, right? You have a swing set. This is a swing set, right? This boy is on a swing. Mom and dad are doing what? They are pushing their children away. Pushing them away. Of course, gravity is the force that pulls them back down. So there's 2 forces we can see in this video. One is push away from human beings. The other force from gravity from the earth is pulling them back down to the ground. And so we have forces. We have 2 forces. One is pushing away. The other force is pulling back. The one that's pushing away is made by people. People are making that force, and the other force is made by the earth, that's gravity, pulls it back. So we have the constant motion back and forth. We're actually looking at 2 forces in this video. There are 2 forces. Okay, now when we talk about motion, we can talk about the direction. Direction. Direction of something. Oops, direction. That's supposed to be a C, okay? Direction. So we talk about the direction of the motion. Which way is it going? Which way is that object going? That is the direction. Now, something can go in a straight direction. Straight means not bent. But another way to say that is that there's no change in direction. It starts here, A, starts at point A, and finishes at point B, and it goes directly from A to B. There's no change in direction. It's a straight shot, a straight line. There's no change in direction. It goes directly from point A to point B, not bent. Bent would be like, you know, this. That's bent, okay? That would be bent. There's no bend. It's straight, straight line, not bent. There's no bend in the direction. The direction stays the same the whole time. There's no change in direction. The direction stays the same. It is going straight. That's the direction. Now, of course, we can talk about straight is not bent. Curve is like a bent. Curved. Curved. Curved means not straight, okay? So we had like opposites, right? Straight means not bent. Curved means not straight. So curved, of course, means bent. Okay? And forming a curve. You see this train, now here is point A, here is point B, right? It's not a straight line. A straight line would be like this. That's a straight line. But this is not a straight line. This is a curve, right? It's curving around. It's bent. The train tracks are bent. It's forming a curve. So we can say it's a curve or it is curved. Curved is adjective. Curve, without D, that's a noun. So we say there's a curve in the tracks. Go around the curve, that's a noun. If we say the tracks are curved, that's an adjective. Okay? So curved means not straight. And forming a curve. That's our noun right there. Okay. Now, there are many different types of motions. We talked about straight. We talked about curved. But there's also zigzag and there's circle. Let's take a look at each one in turn. These are all changing directions or talking about directions like I talked to you guys just before. Here we have the idea straight. We talked about straight. Let's see another example. As you can see, this man is swimming in a straight line. These lanes, the lanes, swimming lanes, they are lanes in a swimming pool. The lanes are straight. The lanes are not bent. They're not curved. They are straight. Let's take a look. So, look at this guy. Oh, he's a very powerful swimmer, isn't he? But he's swimming in a straight line. He is swimming along in a straight line. He comes on up out of the water. Of course, we can't see the lines, but we just have to assume that when he's swimming, he's a good swimmer, and he stays swimming in a straight line. And we can see that he's not really changing direction. He is not changing direction. He's swimming in a straight line. Do you like to swim? I do like to swim. I should swim more, though. I don't have a lot of time. But swimming is a very good exercise. But yeah, that looks good. Okay, so that's straight. Then we have curved. As you can see, the road can curve. Now, the road can curve in both directions, right? Sometimes the road can curve to the left. It can curve back to the right. Let's take a look at a video of a curved road. Well, look at this road. I think this is a famous road in San Francisco here. These cars are traveling on a curved road. The road is curved, okay? So the cars are going, they have to go very slow, because obviously, if they go fast, they might hit something. It's easier to go fast if it's straight. But if it's curved, slow down. It's dangerous to go too fast. Then we're talking about speed, right? Lower your speed when you go down a curved road. Okay? Because you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want it to be dangerous. Okay, so we've talked about straight. We've seen examples of curved. We talked about straight and curved. But how about some new directions? Let's talk about zigzag. That's a kind of funny word, isn't it? Zigzag. Zigzag looks like a combination. Straight, then curved, and then straight, and then you change direction. You go straight, change direction. So zigzag is like you keep changing direction, okay? But you are still going down a straight line. I mean, he's still going from A to B. He's going kind of straight, but he's changing directions. He's still going to wind up in the same place if he went on a straight line, but he keeps changing directions but keeps coming back. That's zigzag. Let's take a look at the video. Oh, where are we? We're on the mountain. Looks like there's a lot of snow. Looks like it could be a ski resort. Let's take a look. Yep, absolutely. It's a ski resort. And look at this guy. He wants to go down the mountain, right? That could be a straight line, but he keeps changing the direction. He goes right, and then he turns and he goes left, and then he goes right again, and then he goes straight for a little while, then he goes left. The thing is, he keeps changing direction, but he's going the same direction all the way down the mountain. Of course, here's the guy that's filming it. He's just kind of going along like this. This guy is really putting a lot of effort into it. But he's still going in a kind of a straight down the mountain, but he's using a zigzag pattern. Why is he doing that? Because if he goes straight, if he doesn't change his direction, his speed will really get fast, faster and faster and faster. That's dangerous on the skis. Boom, right? He'll hit something. So he slows down. By changing his direction, he goes slower. Okay, we'll go right, slower, more friction. Left, right? Right, and then he'll slow down. Actually, I used to ski a lot in America. I really loved to ski. I'd go up in the mountains and go skiing. And I know, you can't go straight. If I go straight, sometimes I would go straight. You go really, really fast, and it's a little dangerous. It's a little scary. Wow, really fast. So slow down, turn, and go down the mountain in a zigzag pattern, and that way you'll slow your speed down. It's safer to do that way, because you don't want to really go fast. If you hit something, oh, that really hurts, okay? So slow down, go in a zigzag pattern. Okay, that's zigzag. Now, we can also talk about directions. We can say circle. Travel in a circle. Travel in a circle. That's travel in a circle. We can also call it circular motion. So we're putting these two words together. Our idea of motion, circle is a noun, but we change circle to adjective form, and we have circular. Circular motion means to go in a circle or travel in a circle. Travel in a circle, that's circular, circular, let's say it together, circular motion, circular motion. And that's what this thing is doing here. What is this thing called? That is a Ferris wheel. You see these at amusement parks. So let's take a look at a video of a very big Ferris wheel. Ferris wheels are fun because you can go up. Let's take a look at the motion. Yeah, look at this. These people can go up in these cars very high, and they can get a good view of what's going on around them. It could be romantic. A lot of couples go on Ferris wheels, right? Ew, right? Okay. So anyway, the Ferris wheel is going up and around. It's going in a circle. The Ferris wheel travels in a circular motion. It travels in a circular motion. So we've seen before in a previous lesson how planets, right, go in a circular motion around the sun, and moons go in a circular motion around planets. We saw that in a previous lesson, but that's a good way to describe that, a circular motion. Okay, so we finished with the words. Let's review. Okay, let's take a look at these words and match them with their definitions. We just talked about them. So how good is your memory? Let's take a look. Here are our words. Pull, motion, speed, push, force, and gravity. Remember that pull and push are types of forces, right? Also, gravity is a type of force. Motion is our whole idea that we're talking about, and speed is how fast something is moving. So let's take a look. One, a force that moves things away from you. So a force, we're not talking about force, we're talking about a type of force. Remember, force is our big word, and inside that word we have several forces here. We have pull, we have push, and we also have gravity. gravity. So pull, push, gravity, those are forces, right? Those are our forces in the word. So we're looking for either gravity, push, or pull. A force that moves things away from you, we're talking about push, right? Because push means to move away, to move away from you. Okay, so that's push. Number 2, how fast, our key word here is fast. How fast something moves. So when we're talking about something that's moving very fast or slower, right? We're talking about the speed of something. So the speed, how fast is it moving? What is the speed? What is the speed? How fast is it? What is the speed? So we're talking about fast, we're talking about speed. Number 3, a force that moves things closer to you. So now you're bringing things closer, not away. It moves closer to you. So it's the opposite, pandero of push. What is that? Of course, that is pull. You're pulling something closer to you. You pull it closer to you. Okay, number 4, a power that produces a change in a movement. So we're looking for a power. Remember when we talked about motion and things that cause a change in movement. So things might move, things might be stopped and suddenly they're going to move, or things that are moving change direction because of what? Because of a force. Force will make an object move from a stop to starting to move. That will be a force. Or if the object is already moving, maybe it'll change direction, right? That power that makes that change is called a force. Okay, so that's a force. Okay, number 5. Now we're talking about a force. A force that pulls things to the ground. Pulls things to the ground. So the ground, of course, is below us. We are being pulled to the ground, right? We're using our bodies as a force. We're using our muscles to stand up. If we suddenly relax, whoo, we fall down, right? What's that force that's pulling us to the ground? Of course, it's always pulling us to the ground. It's called gravity. And gravity is made by the earth because the earth is so big and it weighs so much. It has a force. It's pulling us down. By the way, every object has gravity. I have gravity. My body has gravity, but the thing is, my body's not big enough, thank God, it's not big enough to attract things to me, right? So the gravity that my body is making is very, very, very small. We don't really feel it, but every object has gravity. The earth is so big, and it weighs so much that it has a lot of gravity. So it's pulling us down. It's keeping us on the ground. Okay, number 6, the act of moving. The act of moving, of course, is the name of our lesson, right? The name of this unit is called motion, okay? So the action of moving, if something is moving, we say it is in motion. It is in motion. It is in motion. That's a common expression, by the way. It's a good expression. If you say it is in motion, it means that it is moving. And that's, of course, what we're talking about in this lesson. Okay, let's take a look at our chart here. We're talking about a certain type of force, right? Somebody is falling in the air. And we're talking, of course, the force that's making this person go to the ground is, of course, gravity. Gravity is a force. It's a type of force. What does it do? It pulls. It pulls an object straight down. Not in a zigzag, right? Not in a curve, but straight down. Straight down to the ground, okay? That's important to remember, right? Gravity doesn't make something fall in a zigzag pattern. That's kind of silly. It falls straight down. Gravity keeps things from floating off, Ooh, if I start floating off, all of a sudden I become detached from the ground and I start to float off like flying through the air. But instead of flying, if I fly, I have some direction. I know my direction. But if I float, I don't have any direction. I just kind of float off. I'm not in control of my direction. Float off into space. Obviously, we don't want to float off into space. There's no air in space. There's not a lot of warmth in space. Space is a dangerous place for us. So we're happy that the Earth has gravity and it's keeping us on the ground. It's very good for us. Okay. Let's take a look at a video. By the way, this guy is bungee jumping. Bungee jumping. Did you ever bungee jump? I actually did bungee jump a long time ago, but be careful, right? It's very scary. You jump and the strap stretches, right? So you fall down and then that strap will pull you back up to where the strap is tied to. So it's tied to something up here. So you fall down because of gravity. It will stretch out and pull you back up in the air, and then you fall back down. So there's two forces with bungee jumping. One is gravity, and one is the force that's being made by like a big rubber band, right? That rubber band stretches out. It wants to come back, so it'll pull you back up into the air. Okay, let's take a look at a video. This guy's going to go bungee jumping. Let's take a look at those two forces. The first force that he's going to feel is gravity. The second force that he's going to feel is the stretching power of the cord that he is being attached to, or that he is attached to. Let's take a look. Okay, you ready to go? Bye-bye. Oh my gosh, I'm very scared. So he's got to get his nerve, jump. And then he goes, whoa, that's really far down there. Okay, now of course the cord is stretched out and he'll jump back up. Not all the way, because he'll hit his head on the bridge, but he'll come up a little bit and he'll fall down. By the way, this is exactly how I did my first bungee jump. Exactly the same. We were under a bridge. It was over a river. We jump off the bridge and hopefully the cord is not that long. You don't hit the water. You don't want to do that. But you go down pretty far. It's very scary. It's very amazing experience, but you got to be careful, of course. Okay, so that's bungee jumping. Okay, now we have an interesting exercise here. Don't be confused. I will explain this to you. Choose where. We have to choose where here. We have A, B, C, D, E, or F. These are all places, right? These are places. They are where each object, here's one object, right? This is our first object. This is our second object. Where each object will fall. So will fall. Remember, we're talking about gravity. What did we say about gravity before? We saw that gravity pulls things straight down, not in a zigzag, not in a curve. So if I had this object here, number one, and I let go, this object will fall to the ground. Where will it fall? Will it fall at A? Will it fall at B, C, D, E, or F? Will it fall all the way over here? No, of course not. This object is going to fall straight down. It's going to land on B, right? That's pretty easy, right? Same thing for number two. If I'm holding on to number two and I let go, where is it going to fall? Will it fall over here? Why would it do that? Remember, gravity pulls things straight down. Straight down. So, if I let go of number two, it will fall here. E. Of course, we know that, right? Because it goes straight down. Gravity pulls things straight down to the earth. Not in a curve, not in a zigzag, but straight down. Okay, let's go over our true-false questions. Number one, motion is where something is. So if something is in a place, right, it's where something is. That's motion, right? No, that's not right. That's false. Why? Because motion means if you have a place here, right, this is our place A, and you have another place here, and that we say that's B, motion is the action of moving from one place to another. So it's not where it is, right? The motion is the action of moving from one place to another. It's not where something is. It's the act of moving. It's the act of motion. It's the act of changing places. We're not talking about where it is now. We're talking about the fact that it's moving, the action of moving. So that's not right. Number two, A push or a pull. Two is a force. Remember, we talked about two main forces. Of course, there are three forces we're talking about, but the two forces that we can use, right, with our bodies, the forces that we can make with our bodies, we can push something, we can pull something. Those are forces. A push or a pull is a force. That is true. Those are two forces that we can use with our bodies. I told you before, gravity, our bodies do generate gravity, but we can't use that, and we don't really make enough gravity to really matter. The earth makes enough gravity to matter. So a push or a pull is a force. So is gravity. Gravity is also a force, but that's okay. We're just talking about these two in this situation. Number 3, a push is a force that moves things closer to you. So if something comes closer to you, is that a push? No, that's not a push. What do we call that? We call that a pull. A pull is a force that moves things closer to you. That's true. So this sentence is false because we have to change it. We have to change push to pull to make it true. So it's not true. It's false. Okay, let's take a short break here after learning these interesting vocabulary words about motion. Now let's take a look. We'll take a short break and we'll come back and look at the reading section. Okay, see you soon. Okay, welcome back. Let's go over the reading section for this unit. Of course, in this unit, we're talking about motion. So when we talk about motion, we're talking about the act of moving. If a car, a person, an animal, or other thing is in motion, right? We talked about that. What is it doing? It is moving. Motion, of course, we're talking about the act of moving from one place to another. If it is in motion, remember we use that preposition with motion. It is in motion. If another thing is in motion, it is moving from one place to another place. Things move at different speeds. Different speeds. We know that, right? So a car is faster than a person. A person is usually slower than an animal, right? So these objects have different speeds, right? Some things are moving very fast, but some things are moving more slowly, okay? A car moves fast, as we know. A person moves slowly. If we want to go somewhere fast, if we want to increase our speed, we get in a car and we drive somewhere. But if we don't care about our speed, it's okay, we have time, then we will walk somewhere. Things move in different ways. Now we're talking about different ways. We're talking about also different directions. So what kinds of different directions are there? Well, first of all, if you take the bus to school, right, you move quickly from your home to school. So you're going from A to B, you're moving quickly because a bus moves at a faster speed than a person walks, okay? Now we're talking about things move in different ways. We can say a train moves straight. So if you look at the train tracks, right, you have the train tracks running here, right? A train moves straight down the tracks. But sometimes a train track can be curved, and then the train changes direction, right? So a train moves straight, but a train track, which is this, can be curved. It can be curved. It can go around in a curve, okay? Of course, we need to do that because trains can't always go straight. They have to change directions to go around mountains, to go around rivers, to go around buildings. So train tracks are also curved. What makes things move? Force makes things move or stop. That's interesting too. We didn't really talk about that much. But if you think about it, something is in motion, a force has to stop that thing, right? So if a train is going down the track, right, it's in motion. A force put it into motion. A force made that train move, but now another force has to make that train stop moving. So another force will stop that train. Of course, those are the brakes, the friction. Usually when things stop, the force that we call that makes things stop is friction. In other words, if you don't have friction, there's like no touching. You just go very quickly. But if you have friction and a lot of friction, if these two objects push together, it stops, right? That makes motion stop. And so we call that friction. Of course, the brakes on a train makes more friction between the wheels and the track, and that makes the train stop. So a force can make a thing move. It can also make it stop. Important point. Also, force can change the speed of things, right? So force is a power, right? If we're walking and we want to change our speed, now we're going to push our feet against the ground faster. We're going to use more power, more of our body's energy, and we're going to increase our speed, right? So now we are changing the speed by using more force, okay?